You are live with OG Stick High. Get your blunts ready. Get your drink ready. It's about to go down. Cracking, y'all. It's your guy, Stick High, man. Ain't gonna play no music on this right here. We just gonna give you the recap. It's important that y'all know these names of these candidates and stuff. So we're gonna definitely do the recap for tonight. Also, I was also able to interview some of these candidates, and we'd be able to release some of that information, some of that footage and stuff as well after it uploads. So it's important that you guys know the names of the candidates and stuff. So that's why I'm doing a recap to replay all of this over again so you guys could get the name of these candidates. And this was the Democratic Party debate. The next one that I'm going to be doing, I believe, is going to be the Republican Party debate. So getting everybody tapped in with the names. We need to know names. We need to know faces. Names and faces. And that's what we're going to get you tapped in with. We're Riders on the Radio. Get you tapped in right there. Let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to this primary election debate for Democratic candidates from Arizona's Congressional District 1. This debate is sponsored by Clean Elections, the state's nonpartisan voter education agency. My name is Steve Goldstein and I'm joined by Richard Ruelas. We'll be co-moderating tonight's debate.
The format for this debate should be familiar to you, but the way we're sharing this...
Show the faces. What y'all doing? Shit. What are they doing? Drop it. Play it. I feel a song that I wanted to show. Alright, that's obviously tripping, so I'm gonna have to read them. Ridiculous. I have to do all this. These are the names of the candidates. So let's get that down. Ahmed Shah, Connor O'Callaghan, Kurt Cromier, Andrew Horn, Marlene Gallen Woods, Andretti Cherny. These are the Congressional District Democratic primary debate for the 2024 Arizona election. All right. Now that we got you tapped into that, office will get you tapped in. Let's get started. I hope we don't have to go through this whole screen like this all the time. They really want me to watch it all the way from the beginning like that. That's ridiculous. All right, I'm just going to do what they want me to do. My screen looking like that. It's a countdown. Meanwhile, while they counting that shit down, let me get up in here. Yeah, while they counting that shit down and shit, we're just gonna talk about the politics that was out there and stuff. It was just talk about the experience and shit. You know what I'm saying? It was a good experience to be out there with the big networks and shit, and get involved, man. Check out the politics. See what people got in store for us. See what people's plan is to help community? What is your plan to, you know what I'm saying, for the middle class? What is your plan for um, just getting their politics on certain stuff? Gun control and things of that nature. Some people want gun control, some people don't want that. You know what I'm saying? And then there's I asked one of them about because they said they wanted to come up with a common sense gun law. So I don't say the politics is just politics different and strong and shit. Hold on, what is going on with this? Why it hasn't started yet? Is it started yet? It's supposed to be.
Hello and welcome to this primary election debate for Democratic candidates from Arizona's Congressional District 1. This debate is sponsored by Clean Elections, the state's nonpartisan voter education agency. My name is Steve Goldstein and I'm joined by Richard, who will be co-moderating tonight's debate.
The format for this debate should be familiar to you, but the way we're sharing this debate is part of a brand new effort to support democracy in Arizona. With the Clean Elections Commission and the Arizona Media Association, we're working to make sure these 2024 debates are the most accessible in Arizona history. That means this debate and dozens more between now and November will air on a long list of local TV stations, radio stations, and digital platforms, including support from local newspapers. It's a shared effort among hundreds of local media brands across Arizona.
Transparency is critical here. That's why these debates have been designed with input from a broad group of journalists in Arizona representing urban and rural communities. Now, we've tried to keep the rules simple. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement and 1 minute for a statement. Candidates have drawn straws to the order. Throughout the debate, Richard and I will pose questions to each candidate, allow them to answer, and then make sure other candidates have a chance to respond. Whenever a question is directed to a specific candidate, only that candidate's microphone will be open. At all other times, every microphone will be open. Thank you to voters across Arizona who have submitted questions for this debate. We have reviewed all of them to make sure every voice is heard. However, no candidates have been given advance access to any of the questions.
And with that, let's introduce our 6 candidates for this debate. Andre Cherney, Marlene Galan Woods, Andrew Horn, Kurt Cromer, Connor O'Callaghan, and Amish Shah. And Dr. Shah, you have the first opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Amish Shah. I am running for United States Congress for the 1st Congressional District. I am an emergency physician. I've been in practice for about 20 years, and I work currently at the Mayo Clinic right in the heart of our district. I am also a 3-term member of the Arizona House of Representatives, and I've had the chance to serve our community for over the last 5 years. I don't have to tell the people in this district what is at stake in this election, but I do want to tell you why I am the strongest candidate to take on the current Republican incumbent and win this seat. Over the last 6 cycles, we have run a candidate, good Democrats, who had never won an election before, and then we lost. I think we cannot make that mistake again. We need a candidate who has won tough elections, and I'm the only one on this stage who has done that. Over the last 7 years, I knocked on nearly 20,000 doors personally. Those of you who have met me, you know, I've been to your door. I've listened to your concerns, and I've tried to translate those concerns into actual bills that made a difference in people's lives. And that means I passed more bills than any Democrat in over a decade in this state. That includes bills to ban late-night fireworks, bills to give Arizonans easier access to medical care, etc. Those of you who know me personally probably also know that I am a huge animal advocate in the state. And yes, if puppies and kitties could vote, I'm sure I'd win this election in a landslide. But it's not just about the bills you pass, it's about the bills you block. In 2022, there was an effort to ban mifepristone, the abortion pill, here in Arizona. And I led the way on that one using my medical expertise, and we were successful in blocking it. So they gave me the Women's Health Champion Legislator of the Year award from the OBGYNs who have endorsed my campaign, who are leading the fight in this effort. So that's the difference in this race. Talking about these issues is a great thing. However, I'm the only candidate who has delivered results on all of these issues, and I hope to earn your vote for Congress. Thank you.
And Mr. Connor O'Callaghan, you have the next opening statement. 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Connor O'Callaghan, and I'm running to represent the 1st Congressional District here in Arizona. the very same district where I grew up. I was born in Ireland and I moved to what is now CD1 when I was 4 years old. My wife Tina was born in Iran, and when she was only 2, she and her family had to flee from an extremist regime that came in to take over during that country's revolution. That very same regime is now threatening to push us into World War III, meddling in Middle Eastern affairs to our detriment. Democracy is not something that we take for granted in the O'Callaghan household. My wife's story and my story is really one of the American dream. This very district allowed my family to seek and achieve the American dream. Just like my kids now, I attended public schools from K through 12 in the district. My teachers and my coaches led me to believe that I could achieve anything that I wanted to achieve in life. But when I think about what it was like growing up here 30 years ago, it was much better. Women had the right to have an abortion, we had an assault weapons ban, and fighting climate change was cool. MAGA extremists like David Schweikert are the very reason why we've gone backwards in this district, to 1864 most recently. That has to stop now. I'm from this district, I'm for this district, I have long held progressive values, and I can flip this seat without sacrificing those values. I also have the team and the resources it's going to take to beat David Schweikert. My entire campaign team is the same team that got Adrian Fontes elected Secretary of State in 2022 by the widest margin of any candidate statewide. I'm the only candidate on this stage who has more money, more cash on hand than David Schweikert. I've raised money from all 50 states because this is a national race with national implications. Please join me. Let's beat David Schweikert. Vote Conor O'Callaghan this July. Thank you.
And Ms. Marlene Galan Woods, next 2 minutes are yours.
Thank you. My name is Marlene Galan Woods. I'm a first-generation Cuban American. My parents came to this country in the 60s, fleeing Castro's communism. I've lived in Arizona most of my adult life, 36 years. This is where I met my husband, Grant Woods, on a blind date, where we got married, raised our 5 children. Our youngest, we adopted from Guatemala. As a former broadcast journalist, I have held the powerful account and I have exposed corruption. Last election, I chaired, I chaired Adrian Fontes' campaign for Secretary of State. I stood up for democracy when Republicans were running around spreading dangerous misinformation about our elections. And now we must hold Congressman David Schweikert accountable. David Schweikert would pass a national ban on abortion. He wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. David Schweikert is an election denier and a climate denier. And not only that, he is part of this do-nothing Republican group who can barely tie their shoelaces together, much less get legislation done. So it is time, after all of the years of chaos and dysfunction, that we send a courageous truth teller to Washington, D.C. And here's who knows I am that leader: the people and the organizations supporting our campaign. Emily's List, Attorney General Chris Mays, former Governor Janet Napolitano, former U.S. Senator Dennis DeConcini. I have the majority, overwhelming majority of labor behind me. We're talking about firefighters and educators and carpenters. They're behind our campaign because they trust me to beat David Schweikert. They trust me to take this fight to Congress and have their back. I look forward to earning your support and your vote. Thank you.
And Mr. Kurt Cromer, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, I have 2 minutes to tell you my life story. And it's actually very simple. My life story has been dedicated to helping people in their darkest hour. So I am the only candidate here who has actually already worked for Congress for 10 years as an investigator with a top secret clearance. I am the only candidate here that has helped children with life-threatening illnesses when I served as the COO of the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. I am the only candidate that's actually worked along the border, providing humanitarian assistance to asylum seekers and immigrants when I served as the CEO of the American Red Cross for this part of the country. I am also the only candidate that has worked to end genocides, mass atrocities, and human trafficking around the world. And I am the only candidate with a background in international affairs, international law, and the rules of armed conflict. That's kind of important given what's going on in the world these days. I'm also the only candidate that has responded to terrorist attacks, natural disasters, and mass shootings. I helped lead the Red Cross response to the mass shooting in El Paso. And so when you listen to us tonight, please think about what we have done. Actions speak louder than words. My life has been dedicated to helping people. That's what I plan to bring to Congress. That is actually how we beat David Schweikert. We bring a candidate to him that will resonate with people across the political spectrum. And I ask for your vote. Thank you.
And Dr. Andrew Horn, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Dr. Andrew Horn, and I am not related to Tom Horn. That is a critically important thing to remember when looking at who to vote for. I'm working against Tom Horn to remove David Schweikert. Daddy, there's a shooter here. I was at work when I got that text, and I have to say it's probably the worst text that any parent can possibly get from their child. I'm an Arizona native, born and raised here, and when I was growing up here, my parents didn't have to worry about their children getting murdered because of gun violence. But I do. Eleanor should be learning, but instead, she's crying, hiding in a closet. Thankfully, Eleanor was safe, but parents and children should not have to live like this. As an Arizona native, I've been fighting against what David Schweikert's been doing. There are 3 things that got me into this race: public education, gun safety, and women's rights. The Dobbs decision was a critical moment in American history, and our representative, David Schweikert, wants to see bans like the 1864 abortion ban that's been here over the last few weeks. He wants that nationally. He wants to take away women's rights. He's working against the future for our children, for our women, for all of us. I'm out here asking for your vote, working with people every day. We're a community-led campaign. We get out, meet people at the doors, and communicate with them. So absolutely, reach out to me and ask me a question. Ask what you want to hear, because I will tell you the truth. Thank you.
And Mr. Ron, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share with you what some folks call a spoiler alert. Tonight you're going to see 6 good people, all of whom are going to state very similar positions on the issues we're going to be talking about. But I hope you'll see something else tonight too, that there's only one person on this stage with a 25-year track record that Democrats can trust of actually fighting for our values, of actually making progress on the critical challenges we face. Building a fairer economy.
Hold on, man. Let me get this shit right for y'all, man. Lord Jesus, this is ridiculous. I got this shit, though. So I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I feel like do it on the 5 heartbeats. Like, nigga, I gotta push niggas off the piano and shit. We right here, about 15. Let's get this shit right. It was irritating the fuck out of me. You know what I'm saying? We're striving for perfection, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to do it right. Here we go. I'm sick of it. Sick of it not showing right on this motherfucker. I had to do it right.
I was elected to be the chair of the Arizona Democratic Party and took on extreme Republicans here in our state, and I built a business to help millions of people fight the climate crisis. I have the track record that Democrats can trust. I hope to earn your support in this election.
Thank you all for those opening statements. And now to the question portion of the debate. Dr. Shah, there's been a lot of discussion about inflation and the economy overall. How would you respond to someone who hears about Intel expansion, TSA coming to Arizona, and yet this person and their family have to work 2 jobs. They're not seeing the benefits of what some say is a prosperous economy. What would you say to those who have doubts about the economy and how you would help that going forward?
I mean, first and foremost, it starts with listening. It starts by understanding what are the issues that are affecting. Is it gas? Is it milk? Is it the cost of food? Is it the cost of housing? Is it the cost of health care? While I was knocking on all these doors over all these years, the real conversations that we've had with the voters. And they've told me, they explained these things to me, how it is uneven, how some people can be helped and some people can't. So first and foremost is to understand what them and their particular situation. So we've strived to do that. Then I think that the job of somebody who is in politics is to go out there and try to help them with these things. So what are the big ways in which government can actually help solve the problems that they're facing? And so inflation is there, it's real. And I will add that it has been a worldwide phenomenon, and it has come down significantly, but that still said, that doesn't lessen the pain for somebody who's having trouble with their kitchen table issues. So a couple big things that I talk about with regard to this is here in the Valley, and you mentioned TSMC and Intel. So they're bringing a lot of jobs to the area, but the thing is we have a serious imbalance between the supply and demand of housing right here in the Valley, and people feel it. Young people especially are telling me they cannot afford a new home. They will not be able to afford rent. That's an issue. And so government can make policies to make it easier to build and build up and build sustainably and also and help us resolve that so that we can ease the prices of housing, as well as the other big one I hear is healthcare. Of course, it's my industry, right? And I want to see the prices of prescription drugs come down, premiums, or affordability of healthcare. These are huge things that affect the daily lives of the people that I've spoken to.
So this is somewhat of an open forum on each of these questions. We're not going to go in order, but if any of you want to chime in on this, please.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on that. The prices that people see at the gas pump, grocery store, paying for housing, these aren't accidents. David Schweikert is somebody who voted to stop the federal government from being able to crack down on price gouging. While big oil companies have made record profits, he did the same thing with the grocery store aisle. So we need somebody in this congressional seat who's actually going to be fighting for middle-class people. David Schweikert was responsible for the largest tax cut ever for big corporations and billionaires, and at the same time, the largest tax increase for middle-class families that we ever saw in American history. He's got that exactly wrong. We need to start doing right by people and understand that our economy grows from the middle out, not from the top down. That's one of the things that differentiates us with Republicans.
Well, Mr. Crump.
Yeah, somehow the Democratic Party over the years has ceded this idea of fiscal responsibility to the Republican Party. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The Republican Party is the party of fiscal irresponsibility. If you want to help those working families, you do things like increase the child earned income tax credit. We basically got rid of childhood poverty during COVID when that was in place, and now it's gone away. Childhood poverty was gone because of that. Pre-K education. These kinds of things help working families, and it's the Republican Party that roadblocks that every single time. And over time, those programs pay for themselves. It is fiscally responsible to invest in our citizens, our families.
And staying on the economy for you, Mr. O'Callaghan, if you make it to Capitol Hill, one of the questions you'll have to answer is whether to keep or repeal the Trump tax cuts. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I've been asked this question for months, Richard, so I'm glad that you're bringing it up again. I've spent almost 20 years working on Wall Street. When I was an undergraduate, I studied economics at the Wharton School of Business. I also received an engineering degree. I have my master's in public administration, and I have a law degree. So I bring the academic and professional expertise to bear on tax policy and other economic issues, including the ones we were just discussing. So I will answer the tax question directly, but I also want to say a candidate who can message properly on the economy. And that means talking about how good the economy has done under President Biden. So we have stock markets at near record highs, unemployment at near record lows. Unemployment for minorities is at historic lows. But people are feeling the squeeze at home. People are feeling worse off than they felt a few years ago. If they think that Donald Trump and David Schweiker are the ones that are going to fix that for them, they are mistaken. We are the party that's always been the party of the American dream. We're going to lift people up and help them. David Schweiker pushed as hard as anybody for the Trump tax cuts. He views himself as a deficit hawk. He needs to go back and take Econ 101 at a community college because he doesn't understand how a budget deficit works. You can't push for these tax cuts and then say we have to cut Medicare and Social Security to make up for it. So I think as we get closer to 2025, we know the economy is doing well. It's absolutely time to let those tax cuts sunset, and we need to revamp our tax code and make sure that it works for the middle class and that it works for small businesses, because right now it advantages large corporations and it advantages the wealthy.
Ms. Gallant-Woods, you've had some thoughts on the Trump tax cuts.
I would absolutely. That is just a ridiculous bill that was passed, and it absolutely needs to be repealed. They gave away $3 trillion to the wealthiest Americans, while the middle class in this country struggles. As I go around the district and I talk to folks, this is what I'm hearing. There is still a disconnect between how much money folks are bringing home and how much they have left over for basic necessities like bread and milk and gasoline. We have to do better. There's going to be a tax cut. It needs to be for the middle class. If that's what we've got to do. We've got to lift up our middle class. And what I can tell you is that the folks who have endorsed me in this campaign, who are grocery store workers, firefighters, educators, carpenters, these are hard-working families who know that I'm the fighter to take this to Congress and get this work done. I've got their back, and they know it.
And Dr. Horn on the economy.
Thank you. I'm the only small business owner up here. I'm the only business owner at all. The workers are feeling the pain, absolutely. Inflation has been high. It was over 10%. Wages have not continued to meet that. So people are feeling the pain. Inflation is up, a difficult time getting food on their counters. They're also worried about healthcare costs, and that has continued to go up. That's hurting the American people. The TSMC plant for chip manufacturing that's just outside our district helps people. It brings in union jobs. The Trump tax cuts, we absolutely need to repeal. But we need to be speaking with people about how they can get and maintain good jobs and how they can change from industry to industry. And we need to support our union workers and our trade schools.
Mr. Cromer, to the next topic. Do you believe there's a border crisis? And yes or no, what do you think we can do in this country to build a border that takes into account security and commerce?
I do not believe there is a border crisis. There are issues along the border, right? But it is not a crisis. And let me talk a little bit about what I mean around that. First off, the biggest issue is that it is taking too long for asylum claims to be adjudicated. And so what we need to do, and what I have advocated for, is to increase the number of immigration judges and staff so that those claims can be adjudicated quickly, and folks can either stay because they passed the credible fear determination, or they do in fact get deported. The second thing, when people talk about the immigration crisis along the border, right? If you listen to Republicans, it's drugs coming all across the border. Guess what? About 85 to 90% of all drugs coming across the border are brought in by U.S. citizens at ports of entry. That is a fact. And if anybody tells you differently, they are telling you 2 + 2 is 5. The second thing they'll bring up is crime. Oh, we have an immigration crisis along the border because they're bringing in crime. Guess what? Crime is at historic lows. The murder rate went down 13% from last year. In small cities and in big cities, crime is down. So immigration, even those that are coming across undocumented, is not increasing crime. And it's also not increased this issue of taking jobs, right? That is not true. We have more jobs than we have people looking for jobs.
We'd love to have all of you weigh in on this one, at least briefly. Mr. O'Callaghan, you have your hand up?
Yes, I think we absolutely have a crisis at the border. We have to acknowledge that. People like immigration. They don't like chaos and disorder, and unfortunately that's what we've had. We need a candidate who can message strongly on this issue. I think it needs to be a four-pronged approach to fixing it. I think we need to have economic development in countries like Venezuela to stop migration at the source. We need to work with our Mexican counterparts to better secure the southern border of Mexico. We need to use our technological know-how to create a secure virtual border wall, which we can easily do with the technology we have. And we need to revamp the immigration judge and court system. It takes 4 to 6 years for people to get an asylum hearing. 90% of those claims ultimately get rejected. It needs to look more like passport control at the border, where at least 75% of those claims can be rejected on the spot. That'll help stem this migration crisis that we have and secure our border.
Thank you. I have been talking about immigration reform since the day I announced my candidacy. It's almost been a year now. We do have a crisis. We have a crisis this is a crisis we've had now for decades, almost 4 decades. And it's frankly a problem from both sides of the aisle here. So we have got to make sure that we pass comprehensive immigration reform. It includes Dreamers having a pathway to citizenship. It includes resources at the border so that Border Patrol agents have what they need to get the job done. It includes worker visa program so that we can continue. We have record unemployment so that we have a rich employment base to draw from. Look, I'm a first-generation Cuban American. I know how hard immigrants work, and they are so thrilled to be in this country. Let's bring them in on a worker visa, above the radar, paying taxes and being part of our wonderful community. That's what we need to do. Republicans, on the other hand, have once again had an opportunity to pass a bill, and they didn't. Why didn't they? Because one guy told them not to. Donald Trump told them to kill an immigration bill, and they did it. And that, to me, looks like a dictatorship. We need to stop that, and we need grown-ups in the room.
Dr. Shaw.
Thank you. I am the proud son of Indian immigrants. My parents came seeking a better life, and they had a legal immigration system and have contributed mightily to this country. My dad was a small business owner who ran several businesses. That's what we are, a nation of immigrants, and we want to fix legal immigration because there is a backlog there. Now, when it comes to illegal immigration, we do have a crisis at the border. And we need to not have chaos and disorder. And so for me, I want to see a worker program where our industry would benefit, where people could go back. We used to have this, but we don't as much anymore, and that's because we've lost the processing capacity. I would like to see the tiny group of people who are engaged in drug trafficking, getting fentanyl into Arizona, and those that are human trafficking to be held accountable. What's happening is that's the biggest area where there is a crisis, and that needs to stop. And yes, a pathway forward for DACA and Dreamers.
Now we're going to stay on immigration, and it looks like we've kind of gotten into the plans. Dr. Horn, there's been a lot of runs at this over the years, going back to the Gang of Eight, to find a comprehensive solution. What is the mix, do you think, between, do we need to trade stricter enforcement for a pathway to citizenship, or what do you think is the pathway forward that could actually get passed?
Well, first I'm going to say we do have a crisis at the border, and David Schweikert does not want to fix it. He voted against comprehensive immigration reform just a couple of months ago. He's been in office for 14 years now, and he has continually not wanted any immigration reform, and that's what we need to change. We need a mix of helping the border agents, because they need to be able to process people more quickly. The people coming across the border have great intentions. They want to cross for a better future for themselves, for their family, for their children, and we need to keep that in mind. These are real people coming to America for change, for great things to help our economy, all of us. And so we need to process them more quickly so they're not waiting 7 years in order to get into this country. There's a lot that we need to do, and David Schweikert is against anything that can help the people.
Mr. Cherney, your thoughts?
This is not an issue where I've been talking about it for a year. This is something I've been working on for 25 years. I, as chair of the Arizona Democratic Party, took on Jan Brewer when she was trying to an issue that she was trying to divide our society and our state around. As Arizona Assistant Attorney General, I was a border prosecutor. We did one of the largest prosecutions taking down a human smuggling ring ever in Arizona history. They're one of the first wiretaps on a smuggling ring, bringing drugs and guns as well as people across the border. So I know this firsthand, and I can go toe-to-toe with David Schweikert. We need a nominee who can go toe-to-toe with him on this issue, and I've been taking the fight to him from day one. He's somebody who voted to cut Border Patrol. He's somebody who voted to cut the number of immigration judges. We need more resources on the border. We need reform. We need a pathway to citizenship. All of us are going to have the same position, but there's only one person here who can really, with credibility, take that fight to David Schweikert this fall.
Ms. Golan Woods, you made the reference to one person being the obstacle to getting some sort of comprehensive immigration bill or a border security bill passed. Knowing that there are voters in this district who can be registered independents, take a Democratic ballot, what would you say to some of those independents and then in the general election potentially, who are Donald Trump supporters, maybe not to the most extreme as some people might characterize it, but people who might be willing to listen to your message? What effort would you make to understand where they're coming from and then reach out and vote? Would you try that?
Well, absolutely. I would try that. What I would say is, and what I referenced earlier, was that bill in the Senate. They had a bipartisan bill in the U.S. Senate that was ready to go, and they had the votes for it. It was a conservative bill, and Donald Trump called Republicans and said, kill it. He wanted it gone because he wanted that as a wedge issue in this election. That's wrong. That's wrong. They had a bill ready to go, and like I said, that sounds like a dictatorship to me. So what would I say to a potential voter, maybe a Trump voter? Those exact same words. That's what I would say. We need to be able to have difficult conversations with one another again when we might disagree on other things. I'm willing to have those conversations as long as there's respect and dignity at the table. We need to do that.
So,
Well, do you understand also the appeal of Donald Trump, or why there's so many voters who are attracted to that message?
of course, he's a snake oil salesman, but I wanted to just chime in on something that Ms. Golan Woods said that I thought was pretty striking. She said that this has been an issue for 4 decades and that there's blame to be had on both sides of the aisle. And I realize that Ms. Golan Woods was a Republican for most of those 4 decades, but that's just simply not true. We've had 3 solid bipartisan efforts at comprehensive immigration reform in the last 20 years. David Schweikert's been a part of 2 of those efforts, and he and his cronies have helped kill it every time. 0 for 3 the Republicans are on this issue. So to try to pin it on Democrats, I think, is disingenuous and untrue. We are the party that's going to finally deliver comprehensive immigration reform for this country.
Mr. Cromer, your thoughts
Just
on
a
that?
quick
Sure.
little response back. Look, all of my colleagues are basically talking about the Republican talking points, right? Right now, we just heard that the Republicans are using immigration as a cudgel because they don't want to fix the problem. And yet, most of the folks here are parroting the Republican talking points about immigration. This has become an issue because we are not honest with people. We do not state the facts. And the facts are higher wages would be great. Drugs are being brought in by U.S. citizens mostly. We need to talk about, and then we need to have the comprehensive reform. We obviously need to do that. But that can be done. That doesn't mean that there's a crisis and that somehow there's these hordes of people, as Donald Trump said, right, ruining the blood of our nation. How despicable. How outright despicable.
Mr. Sherman.
I think for your question about how do we reach out to those voters, that's going to be incredibly important. Look, David Schweikert barely won in 2022. And yet we saw our state candidates, people like Mark Kelly, won by 6-7%. Joe Biden carried this district. And so we need a nominee who is grounded in democratic values, who has a track record, because people are looking for somebody who they understand, somebody they trust, somebody who has actually done things to advance the ball for the critical issues facing middle-class families. And my ability to do that, along with talking about my experience as a border prosecutor, my experience serving in the military, my experience building a business. We created a business that created thousands. And one of the things I did was when COVID hit, we raised our company's minimum wage to $25 an hour. And a lot of people, like perhaps David Schweikert, would say, oh, you're going to hurt your business. We did better than ever before. We were one of Inc. magazine's fastest growing businesses in America. The same year we were rated one of the best places to work, because the way to build a business is to invest in people. That's a message that Republicans are open to and ready to hear as well.
Dr. Horn, is it feasible someone could vote for Donald Trump and you on that same ballot?
Well, that's, I'll tell you that I speak with people across the aisle every day. I'm out knocking on doors, speaking on the phone with people of all different opinions. There are things that we can come together on. Absolutely. Public education is something that people want a good future for their family. David Schweikert is destroying people's future. Guns is something that Donald Trump supporters or others, I have a different view about guns than a Donald Trump supporter, for the most part. That's something that we don't see eye to eye on. Okay, well, let's get things that we do agree on passed. Let's work on the issues like our economy. How can we help people? Donald Trump has a lot of supporters because people have, they're feeling hurt. They're feeling that their wages have not risen to the level that they've expected. And we can help people with that. Democrats, and I am very good on that issue. I speak to people all day long that are across the political spectrum, and we find agreements, and they want to help with my campaign.
Dr. Shaw, bipartisanship.
Thank you for the question. Well, I've run 3 times and I've won 3 times, and it wasn't close in the competitive elections. I was always the top vote getter, and the reason was, again, I said I went and knocked on close to 20,000 doors. The people in my district understand why they voted for me. So I ran into lots and lots of Trump supporters, and I listened to them. And what they said was that they didn't feel heard by either party. They wanted somebody that they felt cared about them. And yes, over the course of my 3 elections, I had many people who said they voted for Donald Trump and voted for me. And you know why? Because they said, you listened. You came here, you listened, you showed up. And they said, look, they felt that he cared for them. I said, my job is to care for you more than you think he does. And if I can deliver on that, then I want to make sure, I may disagree with you on values and issues, but you won't doubt that I care for you, and I'm going to make sure that I stay in communication with you so you know how.
Mr. Comer, very brief follow-up just for you. Are you saying that these talking points, whatever they may be, are strictly for the MAGA voters? Are you saying that a person who would vote Democratic or be an independent should not believe some of these things? Do you think it's just perception as far as there being danger at the border or an immigration crisis, whatever it may be?
Well, I think, right, a lot of the MAGA talking points, the reason it's been fairly successful is that it's started to resonate beyond just the small group of people that are in the MAGA base, right?
But
that
you think it
doesn't mean
resonates
it's true,
falsely, though? Okay.
right? And if we repeat it enough times, Democrats, if we repeat it enough times, all we're doing is making that resonate more and more. We have to be honest and courageous. And being courageous means standing up and saying some of these things are just incorrect.
And to any one of you who use the word crisis, I mean, is there something that says that you will, the public sees what's happening and might not understand why you're not labeling it a crisis?
Well, I think the challenge for all of us on this stage, we're trying to take on David Schweikert, is the border and the economy are our blind spots as Democrats. I think abortion is and should be the defining issue in this election, in the Senate election, in the presidential election. But if we're single issue candidates and it's just abortion, 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 we risk losing these general elections. So we need a candidate who's strong on the border, strong on the economy, and acknowledges and recognizes the real challenges that we face, that we as Democrats need to lead and solve.
Mr. Cherney, well, I'm going to move to a slightly different topic, but as you may have noticed, the House is in a little bit of chaos, especially with the leadership. So I guess a 2-parter. Would you have voted to keep Speaker Johnson? And what generally do you think can be done to calm the chaos in that chamber?
Well, look, on your first question, when it came time to vote to make sure we are bringing needed aid to Israel and Ukraine and he stuck his neck out, yeah, I would have made sure that he didn't lose his job because in that case at least, if not in many, many other cases, he did the right thing. But the larger question is one that's important. To me, it's about getting things done. It's about results. It's not about bipartisanship for bipartisanship's sake. It's not about compromise for its own sake. It's ultimately about, do you actually get results for people? When I served as a prosecutor, when I served in the military, when I was a CEO and a business leader, it was all about what you did to get results. And that doesn't mean that people have to always agree together, but it means that you have to find a way to work together. I'll give you an example. I worked, as you know, in the White House for President Clinton at a time that he and Newt Gingrich, two people who were not best of friends and did not like each other, came together, even despite all of that, to balance the budget for the first time in decades, to run the first budget surplus in more than 180 years, to create the Children's Health Insurance Program, expand college loans for people. They got things done, even if they weren't best of friends. That's the kind of spirit we need in Washington, not a do-nothing spirit, but a spirit of people who are saying, I'm going to go there and I'm going to be held accountable for making a real difference for people.
Dr. Horn, your hand is up.
Yes, absolutely. So the question was, how do we view the chaos in Washington, D.C. right now? I think that's a big issue. I think that's what leads someone like me, who's not steeped in politics, somebody who's an outsider. I haven't been working in Washington or Wall Street or New York for decades. I'm a father who does not like what he sees happening, who knows that the people of this district agree with me about the issues that we need to take to Washington, and we need compromise. We need real people in office, not lifelong politicians like David Schweikert, who started in 1988. We need real people who will go to Washington and make the choices that are right for Arizona.
Dr. Shah.
Thank you. When I first ran, people told me at those doors, they said, you can't get anything done there at the Arizona House of Representatives. Why are you going down there? You're a physician, you have a nice practice. And I said, no, I just don't believe it. I believe that there's still hope that we can get something done. And I proved them wrong. I went down there and I built trust and relationships. And from my understanding, after speaking to several members of Congress, they do feel they made a difference, and several of them on both sides of the aisle there are a group of people down there who are passing bills and solving problems for the people that's there. So it's not everything that the media reports, that it's just partisanship, fighting, and dysfunction. There is a group of people there. Ed Pastor, the late Ed Pastor, used to say, are you going to be a or a show horse? Well, my record over the last few years has been really clear. Again, more bills than any Democrat in over a decade in this state. And that's what you need. You need to be able to have somebody who goes down there and gets the job done.
Okay, Mr. O'Callaghan, very briefly before the next question.
Yeah, I think we're gaslighting voters a little bit if we're pretending like this is a state of bipartisanship that we're in. The reality is we need this MAGA fever to break. But if we want to make progress on abortion rights, common sense gun reform, fighting climate change, securing the border, we as Democrats are going to have to get that done. Because as we've seen, as Ms. Woods said, the MAGAs are not going to help us. So we need to keep the White House, we need to keep the Senate, we need to win this seat and flip the House. That is the only way we're going to make progress on these issues.
Ms. Glenn Woods, one topic that has come up on the stage is that some of the people on the stage have been Democrats for their entire lives, some have not. Can you explain to us why you are a Democrat?
Well, I'll start with this. My values have never changed. I have always been pro-choice, pro-democracy, pro-climate. My values have never changed. What changed was the Republican Party. I am a Democrat because we are going to help the middle class. We are going to make sure that we codify Roe. That is what we are going to do. And you know, just to speak to the question before, we need to be able to listen to folks. I'm a journalist and a writer, and listening is important. So we can reach across the aisle to get some things done, but we must say we have to flip the House. The chaos that's going on here is all Republican-led, MAGA-led. We have to reach across to those who might be reasonable to get some work done.
And I imagine we'll all weigh in on this. Mr. Cromer.
Yeah, I appreciate what Ms. Woods said. However, and the however is, The Republican Party has never been for comprehensive immigration reform. The Republican Party has never been for a woman's right to choose. The Republican Party has never wanted to protect Social Security and Medicare. They have always, for decades, tried to eviscerate it. The Republican Party has always tried to minimize the ability of people to vote. That hasn't changed for decades. So I don't know what, Trump is Trump. The Republican Party is still the Republican Party, and they're, if you can call them any policy positions that they have, those have not changed.
For my entire lifetime, it has been a stated mission of the Republican Party to overturn Roe v. Wade. They were finally successful in doing so. Ms. Woods has been on the political scene here in Arizona for decades. When Planned Parenthood was under attack in the court system here in the 90s, where was Ms. Woods speaking out against that? She supported Jan Brewer this millennium. She gave money to Jan Brewer. Jan Brewer, in addition to passing SB 1070, in addition to being anti-union, passed at the time one of the most draconian abortion laws in this country. She was a huge, loud champion for Mitt Romney, who was unabashedly pro-choice, and she retweeted a pro-life, was unabashedly pro-life, and she retweeted a pro-life tweet from Ben Sasse in 2017. That does not sound like somebody who's been a stalwart for women's rights for decades.
We need to give you a rebuttal time, and I guess your values haven't changed. Did the Republicans, Jan Brewer, John McCain, did they comport with your values?
Let me start with a few things that Mr. O'Callaghan just said. And I'll start with this. This is why people voters, Americans, are sick and tired of politicians. This is why people are cynical about the process. Because people like Mr. O'Callaghan are willing to lie, are willing to misrepresent the truth of someone else's record and positions for their own political gain. The fact of the matter is, that tweet that he refers to is a tweet that has to do with adoption. Ben Sasse was talking about an adoption credit for parents. I am an adoptive mother. My husband and I adopted a little girl from Guatemala. So I supported a tax break for adoptive parents. He knows that that's what that was about. The Jan Brewer check, it was a $140 check 15 years ago. I don't remember it. My values have never changed, and do you know who knows this? Emily's List knows this. Attorney General Chris Mays has endorsed my candidacy because she trusts who I am, my values, and the work that I'll get done.
We are crunched for time, Mr. Attorney.
Look, it comes back to what I said at the beginning. We need a nominee who's going to have a track record the Democrats have trust. The reason people don't like politics is not because of this kind of conversation. It's because people run for office and say all the right things at election time and do something very different once they get there. That's why we need somebody who's actually been in these fights, who's been taking on the Republicans for decades when it comes to choice, taking on them when it comes to gun rights. It's why groups like the League of Conservation Voters looked at everybody here and chose to support me. The Brady PAC against gun violence looked at all of us and said there's one candidate who actually has a track record of making this happen, even against decades of Republican opposition.
And I'm sorry, we're getting close to the end. So it is time, because we need to have everyone speak, it's time for closing statements. Each of you have 1 minute. And to keep us on time, we will politely cut you off if you run over. Dr. Shah, you have the first closing
Well,
statement.
thank you. I appreciate all of you spending time with us tonight. This is, thank you to the moderators and all my colleagues. Look, the voters of Congressional District Number 1 have an important responsibility. They are going to choose a nominee up here, and this seat might control the entire, might control the entire United States House of Representatives. And it's, for the last 6 cycles, we've run somebody who'd never won an election before. We need somebody who knows how to win and knows how to do the job. I talk about healthcare, education, and democracy. I didn't get to weigh in on the last question, but these things are important to me. Universal healthcare, cover everybody and lower the costs, fund public education, stop all these attacks on our democracy, fight climate change. All of these are my voting record over the last 5 years, actually doing the job in the legislature. I'm going to keep doing the same thing in Congress. I hope to earn your vote. Thank you so much.
Mr. O'Callaghan, closing statement.
Once again, I'm Connor, and I'm running to be your Democratic nominee to finally defeat MAGA extremist David Schweikert this November. It is critically important that we nominate a candidate with the team and resources to win. But more importantly, it's important that we nominate somebody who can flip this seat without sacrificing our democratic principles and our values. If you supported Jan Brewer, SB 1070, draconian abortion laws, anti-union, if you were part of the problem for 40 years, you were complicit, and that should be disqualifying. If you were a registered Republican and you voted for Donald Trump for any reason at any time, that should be disqualifying. You have a lot of options in this race, but if you want to defeat David Schweikert finally after 14 years with a real Democrat, you only have one choice, and that is me. Vote Connor O'Callaghan this July and visit connor4az.com to learn more. Thank you very much.
Ms. Gallon Woods, the next closing statement.
We have a lot of work to get done. We have to have access to abortion care. We need to protect our democracy. We have got to protect Social Security and Medicare. We can do this together. We can beat David Schweikert together. David Schweikert would pass a national ban on abortion. David Schweikert has voted to undo a presidential election. My parents risked everything to come to this country. No one will fight harder than me for our democracy. I am the only woman here, the only mother and grandmother. I promise you that no one will fight like me to make sure that every girl and every woman in this country has power over her own body. I will tell you who knows I am the fighter we need today. Emily's List, Attorney General Chris Mays, former Governor Janet Napolitano. These people have endorsed me. Grocery store workers, firefighters, teachers, they know I'm the fighter we need. They trust me to beat David Schweikert. They trust me to take this message to Congress and get the work done. I look forward to earning your trust, your support, and your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Cromer, you have the next closing statement.
Thank you. Look, who is best positioned to defeat David Schweikert? I think there's 4 tests. The first one is, who is the candidate that has the broadest set of experiences and knowledge? Who's the most qualified? That would be me. The second test is, who is the candidate who has the broadest set of results that have helped people? I have done that domestically, I've done that internationally. That would be me. Third test, who is the candidate that has had the most leadership roles? I've been the CEO and the COO of multiple entities, multi-million-dollar entities. That would be me. And then maybe the fourth test is, who has the resources to defeat Schweikert? Well, guess what? Whoever wins this primary is going to have more money than they're going to know what to do with. So that's a tie. So at the end of the day, I am the candidate that is most in the best position to defeat David Schweikert, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Dr. Horn, the next closing statement is yours.
Thank you. I'm running to remove David Schweikert because he does not hold our values. Last July, I was at a July 4th parade in Phoenix. David Schweikert was there. At his table, for his campaign, he had handguns on the table. It was $5 for a raffle ticket to get one of David Schweikert's handguns. That's the opposite of what I want to be seeing. David Schweikert is against us on gun reform, on gun safety, on public education. Eleanor this week, on Monday, could not spend the day in her 5th grade class. They didn't have a teacher. They don't have the resources that they need. She spent the day in 1st grade because public education is on the chopping block by people like David Schweikert. We need someone in Congress who's going to fight for the values of our community and who's going to remove David Schweikert. My name's Andrew Horn, and I appreciate your vote this July. Thank you.
And Andre Cherney, you have the final closing statement.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll bet you saw tonight what I said you would see in my spoiler alert. A bunch of people all agreeing on the same issues, but with very different backgrounds and experiences. Again, I'm the only person standing here with a 25-year track record of actually fighting for democratic values, fighting to make this community, this state, this country a better place. And I've put my values into action. There's an old phrase, don't tell me what you're going to do, show me what you've done. Whether it was working in the White House with Bill Clinton, whether it was working with Barack Obama to write his policy for America, whether it was serving the military, serving as Arizona Assistant Attorney General, taking on fraudsters, or whether it was building a business that created thousands of jobs, I've done things. When Roe v. Wade was getting struck down, we made sure that every employee in our company had abortion access no matter what state they lived in. That's the kind of experience, that's the kind of leader we need to beat David Schweikert and make a difference in Washington.
Thanks very much to all of you for being here tonight. And this wraps today's debate with the Democratic candidates for Arizona Congressional District 1. As a reminder, the Arizona primary election is on July 30th, and early voting starts July 3rd. All registered voters can participate in the primary, including independents.
There are a lot of offices up for election this year, so we'll keep hosting debates throughout the summer and fall. Head to azmedia.org to see a list of every local media partner, plus upcoming debates and where you can find them on TV, radio, and digital platforms. You can also see the full debate schedule, learn more about voting, and submit questions for future debates by heading to azcleanelections.gov. On behalf of our partners at Clean Elections, the Arizona Media Association, Reister, and Bitfire Studios, thanks for joining us.
We got some footage of a post interview. We did a post interview afterwards. Let me see if it's ready for y'all. He's 64% in, 65% in. So watch, I'm gonna share that with y'all as soon as it gets ready. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna chop it up about some of the key things that I heard throughout this interview. Hold on, let me just pull out my phone. So I had took my notes down and shit. I was there. I was physically there. And I got my notes on all of the candidates. I know these niggas' names. I know what they stand for. All by notes. And the worstest out of all candidates to me, the worstest one to me, in my opinion, was Andrew Horn. Only because he wasn't explaining. Every time that he spoke, he never explained his politics. He never explained his plan, his agenda. So that's why I didn't like that. I felt like he was saying that he's gonna do better, but he didn't say how he's gonna do better. And that shit matters. I don't know. I think after the interviewing Amit Shah, I don't know. I don't know if I liked what his plan was. He said he wanted to create a bill to ease housing pricing and medical, but basically, I think it was just talking about creating some for people to get low income housing and stuff like that. And it's just same old stuff that they be throwing at niggas. So, and then Marlene Gallen Woods was she used to be a Republican and she was a Democrat. They put her in the fire today. Like, what changed your views? What happened? How you end up turning into a Democrat now? What about your views have changed? Are your views still the same? This, that, and her fight to that was the Republican Party had changed and the values that she holds are within the Democratic Party now, and that's why she's going with the Democratic Party because they hold in her values. Andretti Sherney, he has a 25-year track record. He was talking about climate prices. His family is concentrate camp survivors. Worked for Clinton and Obama. Attorney General. He's a Democrat, wants to strengthen the middle class by more resources. He also wants more resources on the border. Has experience in business. He's a border prosecutor. Has military experience. Wants to balance. Wants to balance the budget. He's also bipartisan. Wants to make a difference, and speaks on having a strong track record. Kirk Cromer. He worked for Congress for 10 years. Worked with children. Worked along the border. Worked in the genocide terrorist acts. Used working with people. Wants to give more for children on income taxes, and wants to increase judges for immigration. Conor O'Callaghan, he wants abortion, more money on hand. He said he has more money on hand than David Schwarzer or whatever dude's name was. That they kept on throwing his name out there. I guess this guy is the guy who's been winning all this time. He says he is an expert in taxes. Doesn't want tax cuts. Wants to revamp the tax code. A strong border and economy. He's pushing for common sense gun reform. And he said that Wood gave money to Jan Brewer. And so he went after Wood. He attacked Wood in this debate. Emmett Shah, he's 7 years in office. He's an animal advocate. This is the doctor. He's a Legislator of the Year award. Wants to create a bill to ease housing prices and medical. Wants to create a worker program for immigration. Won 3 times. Has put together more bills than any Democrat in this state. Those are the candidates. Let me see if my video's ready for y'all. Let me see. Oh, that motherfucker ready. Okay, let's see if it's gonna play it though. Let me see. I'm gonna see if this motherfucker gonna play it. It's big. It's a big file. So let me see if it's gonna cooperate with the oaks.
Decades and then just turn around and say, I'm the champion for this. I can flip this without
This is why people are turned off to politics. Like that. How would you have responded to that?
Well, what she actually said was, this is why people don't like politicians. But the funny thing is, Marlene has been in the political realm for literally decades. I'm not a politician. This is the first time I run for office. I'm a parent, not a politician, as I clearly state in my ads. And I'm an outsider. I'm coming in here to shake things up because she's right. People don't like politicians because they flip-flop, they change on the issues. I am who I've always been, and voters are never going to have to wonder who I am. I think that voters really need to do their homework in this race. I think if you look under the surface, you'll realize that I'm running against 2 recent former Republicans, and I'm also running against 2 candidates, Andrew Horn and Kirk Cromer. Nice guys. They cannot raise money. They've raised $28,000 between them in the last 6 months. It's going to take upwards of $10 million to beat David Schweikert. I've raised money in all 50 states. We have more cash on hand than David Schweikert. This is a very serious race. It's not a vanity project. I'm going to beat him. People do their homework. They'll realize that I'm the only choice if we really want to beat David Schweikert.
You speak on common sense gun reform. Could you give us more info?
Absolutely. So I think it depends on what the composition in Washington is. If we have the White House, if we keep the Senate, and we flip the House, we're going to be able to put in an assault weapons ban. And I actually think that repealing PLCAA which protects gun manufacturers and gun sellers from lawsuits. It's insane that that's a federal law that protects them, gives them immunity. So you think about big tobacco, you think about dram shop laws, you think about auto manufacturers. They face massive liability lawsuits when their products are used and cause harm. And so the gun manufacturers should not be shielded. When there's a mass shooting, it should absolutely be allowed to be sued. It'll force them to either stop making those weapons, or they can use things like handprint, sensors, fingerprint sensors, facial recognition technology, and make guns safer, as funny as that sounds. So we need to do as much as we possibly can. The amount that we're going to be able to do is going to depend on what control looks like in Washington.
Washington, if the Dems do take the House, it's going to be by a small majority. What can a newcomer like you do to sort of unlock the gridlock, especially in the House?
Yeah, so as I always like to say, look, I'm only one of 435 seats, so there's only so much that I can personally do. But I think if we send more reasonable, responsible, pragmatic, intelligent people from real backgrounds, as I said, I'm a parent, not a politician, on both sides, if we can just get a few dozen of us to get back to Washington, focus on the work of the people, focus on what's going to make this country better and push things forward, I think we'll be in much better shape. I agree with you, it's going to be close. I think the odds of us flipping the House without winning this seat are very slim, and the odds of things going the opposite direction are also slim. So I think as this seat goes, so goes the House of Representatives, and that's why it's so important that we win.
Will this come in?
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Hi.
How are you today?
Oh, just fabulous.
You look kind of perturbed there. Started bringing up the fact that you were a Republican who supported people who were pro-life.
I am going to answer that. First thing that I want to address is that I'm really disappointed in this debate that there was no question on abortion. When I go around this district and I meet with folks at their door, we have sessions at different people's homes, abortion is the #1 issue in this state, in this district, and we did not have that as a question. I'm really disappointed about that. We have got to, clearly we have a crisis. We have got to codify Roe. We have got to make sure that every girl and every woman in this country has equal access over the body. I don't know how else to say this, and maybe that's why I'm so emotional about it. And maybe it's because I am the only woman here talking about this, fighting for this. This is a personal assault, what is happening in this country when it comes to reproductive health care and access to abortion care. So I am upset that it was not asked, that we didn't give it the time that it deserves. We have an attorney general who is doing everything that she humanly possibly can to protect the girls and women in this state, and we need to do it from the federal level. So I'm upset about it, but listen, I am just starting this fight, and I am going to make sure that I beat David Schweikert, and I am there to codify Roe and make sure that every girl, regardless of zip code, has access to reproductive health.
If you defeat David Schweikert, you still have to win this primary.
That's correct. I will get that.
And do you think that your history of being a Republican hurt you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because my values have never changed. My values have never changed. I am a Democrat because we will pass abortion care. We will codify Roe. Democrats will protect democracy. Democrats will do that. We will pass a voting rights bill in Congress to make sure that legislatures around this country are not passing voter suppression laws, which is what is going on. I will take that fight to Congress.
So, real quick, what does that mean when it says your values haven't changed if you're a former Republican? Does that mean you still support supply-side economics? I mean...
The Democratic Party aligns with my values. That is why I'm a Democrat. These are the things I'm going to fight for. This is the right place for me to be. It's been the right place for me to be for years. That's
and
where
you look visibly upset at your opponent, Mr. Callahan O'Connor, and we brought up fundraisers you did or people you supported in the past.
Well, yes, I was upset because that's what people are sick and tired of. People are sick and tired of politicians who would take someone's words and twist them, who would take someone's tweet and lie about it. So that's what he did. And so, yes, I was upset because it's not anything that I would ever do. I would never lie about somebody else's record to win a race. And so that's what he did. That tweet that he talks about incessantly is a tweet about adoption. It is a tweet about an adoption tax credit for parents who want to adopt a child. And of course, as an adopted mother, that is something that I would support. So to take that and lie about it is really kind of gross. And it's just, I shouldn't be surprised, but it's gross. And I do not believe that.
Why is this dude sitting in front of my fucking camera? God damn. Like you don't see this big ass camera.
Well, clearly, I'm the one I'm the only woman here, the only one who's given birth. I am the only person who's had a miscarriage. So I understand this quite personally. And like I said, this assault, it is an assault on women. And I'm the woman in this race. I am the mother in this race. And I'm telling you that no one fights like a mother for the rights of her daughter. That's just the fact. And sometimes they're dismissive about it. And it's because it's not top of mind. It is top of mind for me.
I got one question. You said something about making cuts for the middle class. Could you explain?
Look, what the Trump tax giveaway has created is a $3 trillion giveaway for the wealthiest in our country, the wealthiest corporations in our country. I want to stand up for the middle class. If we're going to have a tax break, it needs to be for the middle class. And again, who knows that I am the person to take this? By the way, speaking of being a Democrat, but no, I'm sorry, because I digress. But who might out there? UFCW, firefighters, teachers, ABI, Teamsters, educators. I have an overwhelming majority of labor behind me. Why? Yeah, this Democrat has that endorsement, all of those endorsements, including the former governor, Janet Napolitano. All of these champions, Democratic champions, Felicia Rodolini, former state party chair. This Democrat has those endorsements. So back to your question about middle class. These folks know, these working families know that I will fight for them when I get to Congress.
So real quick follow-up on that, since we did a digression, though. If your values haven't changed, why did you back January?
I never backed her. I never backed him either. That was
hold a fundraiser?
I did not hold a fundraiser for him. That he may have. Last time I checked, my husband is not running for office. Right? Okay. I did not have. So I think we're done, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Who they judging? That motherfucker went off.
Yeah, once you do it, we all can do it. Nigga,
you know
that shit was cold, nigga.
That was the post interview, y'all say. Man, dude kept on standing in front of my camera. I can't even tell that he was standing in front of my camera because he already knew I said my camera. Dude was purposely trying to fuck my shit up. Because you could clearly see the camera, I got it stood up, but the camera was probably up to like 6 foot tall. You know what I'm saying? And it was far out the way. It's like, come on, man. You gotta be purposely trying to fuck up my video. Anyway. We was live in the building. I'm gonna be there again for the next debate. We're gonna keep y'all updated. You know what I'm saying? with the candidates that are going to be on this election, so you could decide and know the names of these people, and you can make the best possible decision that you can make. You know what I'm saying? You have a little bit more knowledge about these names that are on the count, that are on the ballot, and we're gonna learn about a lot more about a lot of these candidates. We're gonna get you tapped into a lot of to learn a lot more about these candidates. And if you guys have any questions that you would like to send uh, out for them to answer during these debates, you guys could send me questions, and we could get it to the people. We could get it to the right people and make sure that these questions get asked. You know, so that's something that's available for us. You know what I'm saying? We just got to get involved. Um, Voting is important. I know a lot of people think that it doesn't matter, but it does matter who and what politics, what they try to put out there for us, and then just think about how we could use it use it for our own. We could use it for our own power. We could use their system, just like they legalize weed. I don't know if that really helped us. It helped the users. It didn't help the sellers. But hey, nevertheless, it was something that a lot of people agreed upon. You know what I'm saying? And basically, when you see these people out here getting these signatures, this is how laws are implemented into the ballot. That's why you see people out there getting the signatures, because once they get enough signatures, then this bill can be presented on the ballot, and you can vote for it to happen or not. That's why they were going around getting everybody to get the signatures for the marijuana to be legalized, so it can become on the ballot. And then once it gets on the ballot, it has a chance to be voted in and implemented into law. And when we learn how to create different laws and rules and stuff that help us, then you know what I'm saying, we can use the law to our advantage. You use the system to our advantage. We just got to understand how to play the game and start playing the game, because the people that's playing the game, they implement law and implement things on us. And you be like, damn, what happened? How did it get harder? How did this happen? How did this, that happen? And these are just because the laws that they vote in, the laws that they put on these, that they get the signatures for, the laws that they get on the ballot, and then they end up getting voted in. So, um, learning about these politics and learning how to use the power is effective, and being able to create leaders, getting the names on the getting names of leaders on for signatures, getting the signatures for the names of leaders, so we can have the names of leaders on ballots, familiar faces that we can vote for, and understanding the process. That's what it's about. Hold on one second, please. Shit. A big ass spider. That nigga had to die right now, you know. It's, can't wait. Can't wait. He has to die right now. This heat is starting to bring the critters out. Yes, but anyway. Yes, so that's the importance of voting right there, and the importance of knowing how to get bills on the ballot, and the importance of knowing how to get your favorite community leaders' names on ballots, people that you think can make a difference, names on a ballot. As the power is ours, and if we use this system the right way, You can win. We can win. We can win. We definitely can win, and that's why they know our vote is important. They know the vote is. They know our vote is important. That's why they try to win it every time. We just got to use the vote for the right people and the right causes, and 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 we can work it. We can work this shit. But if you don't understand how to play the game, then you don't understand. Then it just gets confusing, and that's why a lot of people don't understand. Don't like. Well, a lot of people don't like politics because they don't understand like how. How can we beat this machine? They cheating. How's this going on? How's this going on? The reason that they're winning is because we're not playing. Nobody's on the playing field. Win every time. It ain't nobody on the playing field. You don't got nobody you know up there that we ain't getting them signatures. We ain't putting none of these laws. We ain't creating no different things, different laws to put on that ballot that can help us. You know what I'm saying? We need some creative people to come up with some ideas that would help people and get signatures for it so it can get on the ballot. And then it commit it into law. If you use the system, the system is the American system is a great thing. We just got to use it. We just got to play the game. And if we play the game right, you win. The thing is, and this is what you got to also understand too. The presidents that you vote for need a House and a Senate. So you need to know all the other candidates that may be able to support the president or whatever president you may be going for. Because in order for your president to get those laws implemented that he wants to be implemented, he has to be able to go through the House and the Senate. Because that's Congress is who creates the law. So you got to be able to win over the vote in Congress. And if you don't have the seats, meaning the names for the people of the people that you elect, you need the right people sitting in them seats. That's going to be working with whatever president you bring in. That's how they play this game. So you can have your president in there, but he don't got the seats. So whatever he say or whatever he try to put in, implement into law, won't go through the House or go through Congress because basically they can't vote. They can't get the vote. They won't have the majority vote. They get voted out. Versus you have a president that you elect, and now he has all them seats filled that he needs that have kind of common agenda with him. Then now laws start getting implemented into the system. But if you don't understand how to get these people out of these seats that's fucking up this vote, for fucking up progress. You don't understand how to get these people out of these seats or understand who you are putting in the seats. Don't understand their politics and their agendas and the things that they may be bestowing. Like that, that's crazy. But anyway, when you don't understand people politics and the stuff that they put against us, and then shit, it feel like a hidden agenda, and it's just hitting you out of nowhere. Next thing you know, it's feeling like shit. The weight of the world's on us because, like, out of nowhere, like how they was able to raise that rent like that. There should be a law that they can't do that. They should have never been able to raise the rent out of nowhere, but not raise and pay. How you gonna raise the rent but not give us more money? And that's like just with that alone, it feels like it created a separation, a gap between rich and poor, and there's no middle. like it destroys the middle class. There's such a gap now between rich and poor. There is almost no middle class now because everything's so expensive. So, them are the type of laws that need to be implemented into them are the type of politics I'm interested in. And I'm waiting to see which politician is willing to fix the pricing on the housing, fix the homeless issue going on all across America right now. Willing to fix the shit that really matter in this country. You know what I'm saying? Tend to go to the citizens. The citizens need that reassurance that they're not going to just be breaking their back to just barely live. Oh, you got a house, but you don't got no food. You got a house, but you don't got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like they shouldn't be so greedy. They shouldn't have been so greedy, and they shouldn't have been allowed to be so greedy with this, with the housing industry and how they tripled the price. Because there's a one thing to double it, but to completely triple or down there, like the prices was the way they did the price out here was like crazy, and then it was during a pandemic supposedly. A whole pandemic was supposed to be happening, and next thing you know, the price is going up. Oh, it's like how are they allowed to do that? Well, they're allowed to do certain stuff because we don't know what they putting on that ballot. They implementing law. You sitting back chilling and shit. We don't even know what the fuck is they implemented in the law. Next thing you know, shit, you curd up. You motherfuckers had to raise rent and like everything. What that happened? Rent wasn't only doubled, it was tripled. Like, damn, you went from 500-600 for probably a 1-bedroom to down there 1,500 for a 1-bedroom. 1,500, 2,000 for a 2-bedroom. Like, damn. These motherfuckers paying the wax on niggas. Like, nigga, this shit is ridiculous. And then that's why you're having a level of homelessness that you've never witnessed. People who've never been homeless before are becoming homeless because they just don't have enough money. Taking every last dime out of people's hands and forcing it to be put in these houses now. Now, if everything is going up, supposedly. Food going up, gas going up, rent going up. Everything went up but pay. How the fuck everything went up but the pay rate? How are we going to pay for a new raised price, a new inflational price when they have not inflated our motherfucking pay? Why haven't our pay went up? But we still getting paid the same amount of money, but everything went up. And I'm still trying to figure out how did they figure that was fair? Supposedly during a pandemic. Shit. During a whole pandemic, everything went up. How the fuck was that fair? How was that fair for anybody? Anybody to go through. First of all, during the pandemic, only certain jobs were able to work. You were, what do they call them? The special, there's a special niggas that was able to work. What did they call them? What's the name? They had a special name for them and stuff, because I was one of them. But I can't remember the name. But you could be out here working, basically. You had the right to be driving down the street. You had the right to be outside when, for a second, there was a curfew. and people can be outside. So the essential workers, that's what they call it, the essential workers. These workers were essential to everybody. People who work at Amazon, people who deliver items like UPS, definitely all the mail people was definitely the essential workers. The essential worker, you worked in some warehouse. You either worked in the warehouse or you drove. You were driving. Delivery. Deliveries were heavy. Was heavy. The essential worker delivering food. Essential worker was heavy. Was big time during this pandemic. But somebody was sitting around and just came up with a great idea. Like, oh, once Trump started giving them the money and stuff, started giving people money, some asshole just came up with a great idea like, let's raise their rent. Yeah, that's how we're going to get the money back. Let's raise the rent. What? Who allowed that? Who? It's just, that's why certain laws got to be implemented. There is no way that they should have been allowed to triple everybody's rent in a matter of a month or two. We didn't get a year notice. We didn't get a 60-day notice, a 90-day notice. Seemed like shit just happened overnight. Boom, your new rent is this now. What? How? Market went up. The market went up. That's what they want to say. How the fuck a market that was supposedly crashing going the fuck up and ain't nobody making more money? How do that even make sense? How could a market be going up if the people ain't making more money? Because if they not making more money, that means the buying rate ain't going up. So how does that even make sense? If people not buying this stuff, why would it go up 3 times the amount? Like people that are natives from Arizona, we know these prices ain't never been like this ever. It's almost like out of state prices. Like nigga, we heard of these prices, but we was yet to pay them. We heard of this type of shit, but this shit wasn't happening out here. We weren't paying no. It was paying what, $500 for 2 bedroom. Living good, nigga. 5 bedroom for $500 for 2 bedroom. House, nigga, $900,000 something, nigga. You living good in a house. $2,000, nigga. You definitely living in a nice castle. You know what I'm saying? Our $2,000 shit, you be lucky to even have a backyard now. Shit crazy. Like, how did they figure that was fair? I don't get it. I don't get how that is fair. We're going to tap into what these politicians are talking about so y'all know who to vote for, so y'all can be wise about your vote, because your vote does matter. And that's why they want to ask you for it. That's why they trying to win it, because they know it matters. Everybody knows the vote matters. But you just got to understand who you're voting for, what their politics are, and how they affect you or your family or anybody around us, how they affect us. So that shit matters. And the more that we know about these things, the less likeliness of us getting fucked when we start seeing this shit on the ballot. Now we recognize some shit. Like we get to the ballot, be like, oh yeah, that's that dumb. That's that one motherfucker. Nope. Not voting for him, not voting. You know what I'm saying? Now you know. You start knocking some people off the list. Start remembering some of these names. Some of these names start coming to start having a face to it now. It just ain't a name on the ballot now. Now we don't have to play any, many, money, more when you voting on certain things. Presidential election is always going to be um, that's always going to be huge to a point where you're going to know who these candidates are as far as a presidential election. But when you start getting more and more down onto that ballot and different different races for different positions and different bills that may be on the ballot as well. Because they're not going to straight up say what the bill is. It's going to be a number to the bill. It's going to be like 104, vote yes or no. You like, what the fuck is 104? Yes or no. It's like, what the yes or no 104. Like, what the fuck is this? So you need to know what the fuck 104 is. You fuck around and vote something that you don't even know what the hell you don't vote for, and it ends up impacting you or somebody you love based on the fact that you don't have no idea what the politics was. The politics matter. We all have to be involved with these politics because these politics is what basically run this motherfucker. It's just like you're in prison or anywhere else. The rules that they put out there, they affect us. But we got to make sure the rules are fair and that we on the same playing field. And we can also create rules that can help us. We just got to play the game right. Just like they do. They play the game. They try to create stuff that work for them. We need to start creating shit that works for us and having certain shit on that ballot, just like we got that weed on there. They got that weed on that ballot. You know they didn't want that weed on there for a long time. That weed got voted out a long time. They tried to put it on the ballot a couple times and didn't make it through. But that's because people did not know. People's lack of knowledge stopped weed from being legal for a long time. Because they just didn't know that it was on the ballot. So, knowing what's on the ballot, knowing these numbers of these bills, knowing the contestants, for the elections, the candidates for the elections, and each category, and everybody knows what we want. Everybody's politics is different. That's why talking about politics is rough. We know it's rough because everybody's politics ain't the same. However, this allows you to see the candidates and their politics, and you can decide for yourself which one you like the most and which one's politics are in the realm of the way that you want to move or what's something that you would like, and that's in your likeliness with. And that matters for us to know these things. And that's going to give us the power to use the vote the way that we can use it in the best way that we can use it by understanding how to play the game and understanding who's game, who's in the playing field, what their agenda is, and how it impacts us and affects us in one way or another. Because everybody's agenda is not going to affect us the same way. Some people's agendas may hurt us. Some people's agendas may put us in a worse position. Some people's agendas may lean out to help us. Some people's agenda may put us in a better position. So it's important to know these people's politics and what they represent. Thank y'all for tapping in with the show. We're Riders Only Radio. We're going to get y'all tapped into another election debate. I believe it's going to be on my birthday next Tuesday, May 21st. So I'm going to be at work. We're going to be working on the birthday. We're going to be getting it in, and it's going to be, man, it's a blessing to be able to do this. And I got y'all on this, man. I got to get y'all tapped in because this shit matters. This shit matters, and it does affect us, and that's why we got to wake a lot of people up. We got to get people to understand how to play the game, understand who the players is, and understand their politics agendas, and let's find the ones that that can benefit us based on politics agendas, um, records, policies, because people, your past do matter. Your past matters. Your past matters. That's why motherfuckers want to have a resume for you when you go get a job. They're applying for a job. That's what they are. Every candidate is applying for this job. Your resume matters. So we need to see if you're qualified for the position. You know what I'm saying? And how do your politics affect us? Me, you, directly, or as a whole. That stuff matters. That way we can have this little bullshit slip through the cracks. And next thing you know, shit, they get past some bullshit and they be able to search everybody all crazy and shit. Like they did that. They did that before. They passed a law where they could just search you for no reason. They didn't need no probable cause. Just pull you over and search you type shit. So like certain shit, you gotta have you, man. We gotta be ready. You gotta be ready and understand what the fuck is on these ballots and understand how we could get on the ballot, implement laws. That's why they out here on the outside right now, everywhere getting signatures. We need to be trying to get some of these motherfucking laws that we need, like lowering this rent. Their rent need to be a law. There need to be a rent on the law on this rent, because it should have never jumped up so damn high. There should be a law against that. There should be something on that ballot that say that you can't do that. And I believe somebody was actually putting something like that on the ballot, and they actually came to my house. So they definitely got my signature for that. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that people that were used to a certain price end up having to pay 3 times the amount overnight. That's not righteous. That's not righteous, and that created poverty, created homelessness, and it's killing the middle class. It's killing the middle class. There's not no middle class. You're rich or you're poor. It's just that now. You're just rich or you're poor. A lot of people realize we are poor. You're poor than a motherfucker. You're not rich. You're shit. These motherfuckers trying to find different ways to take the hard-earned money that you make out of your hands and back into their pocket. It's like you're almost working for them. Working and making money for them, because as soon as you get some money, it disappears. On more bills, on more stuff. They need to try to have some understanding that they went completely beyond what I could see. If you did a double, okay, you did a double, but when you triple of the amount, it was completely egregious. It was very egregious. It's completely egregious, and I don't think it should have been allowed. There's no justification. You got people who've never been homeless before in their life. Homeless. They out there with the motherfuckers that smoke blues. They ain't even out there smoking them. But you around them now. You outside. What's that gonna make them do? Eventually, eventually they might fuck around and turn into a junkie too, smoking the blues too. You're around them. You get around them enough, shit. Like fuck around and shit. Fuck it, man. I having a bad day. Motherfucker encourage your ass to hit this shit and make everything go away. You hit it. Now you fucking stuck on stupid. Now you might be fucking craving for that taste again. End up having to wrestle a new demon, create a new problem in your world. It's just people go into states of depression. You know what I'm saying? People go into states of depression because people go into states of depression because of things that they're going through. And shit. And then they want to be relieved from that form of depression and shit. And sometimes it's just to get high or get drunk. It's a temporary happiness. These what the liquor creates smells. Huh? The liquor creates smells. Temporary happiness. This is what they call this shit. Temporary happiness. You're only happy until the can's gone. Till the liquor's gone. Shit, that's a temporary happiness. It produces a smell. But after it wears off, you're back to your problems. Back to life, back to reality, right? It doesn't fix any problems, but it makes you feel better about your problems. And that's why people do drugs and alcohol. To have fun, they push their problems away for a second. To smile when you don't feel like smelling. You know? To smile when you don't even feel like smelling. Yes. So, a lot of these motherfucking smiles can be turned upside down by a simple law implemented by these damn politicians, and you don't even know that they got it out there. Why it's important to know what these people is putting out here on these ballots. If it's in there, if their agenda is for you or against you, you need to know. Because if you don't know, you might accidentally vote for a cause that is against you. And you just didn't know because it's just a name on the motherfucking ballot to you and it's not familiar. And you know the president, you know the presidential elect, but you just don't know really nothing else that's on the ballot. So it's like an any, mini, miny, mo thing because it's just a name on the ballot, but it don't have no familiarity to it. No face to it. It don't have no, you know what I'm saying? It don't have nothing that you can recognize that you're familiar with. So it's just like, damn, who are these people? Fuck it. And it's scary. It's like pick your poison, but you don't know what your poison is. It's like a mystery, a bunch of berries and shit, and you don't know which one's the poisonous one. But you like, damn, shit, I don't know nothing about none of these motherfucking berries. So it's just I'm trying to pick the right one, but you don't know. Might fuck around and pick the wrong one. Because you don't know. You don't know nothing about it. We're gonna keep you guys motherfucking tapped in. We're gonna keep you guys informed about the candidates, their politics, their agendas on Real Riders Only Radio, man. Thank y'all for tapping into the show. Make sure y'all go to the website, Real Riders Only Radio, www.realridersonlyradio.com. And
Tune in to the best in the West, Real Riders Only Radio, where you can find the hottest podcasts and live radio broadcast. We will also be covering the Arizona elections debates in every category. On Real Riders Only Radio, go to realridersonlyradio.com. Press the menu on the left of the screen and you can look up the Our Radio player, our podcasts, and the Arizona election debates and our exclusive shop where you can buy Real Ridas Only music. That's Real Ridas Only Radio. Also, artist want in the rotation? Send your music to realridasonlyradio@gmail.com.
You're tuning into the best in the West. Real Ridas Only Radio.
You know, things with yourself as far as being connected with all your homies. How you started off and how it was all about you and your homies. That's what it was about with me and my homies. Making sure everybody eat, making sure everybody's involved. But as you grow, you lose certain homies because it's called closing the gap. This is the gap when we start. And this is the gap as you grow. Notice how you grow and they don't. So how you close the gap? You gotta come back down. When you come back down, you lose.
When the rain falls, the Father calls out for the righteous king. Silver lions walk across the cloud. The lightning beam, sword has fell from heaven. It takes one swing, call all the angels protect me. The devil trying to scheme, activate granted. Purpose on this planet, 7 stages to vanish, an out-of-body reaction. The soul have been established, it's clear. No attachment, the capsule have been subtracted, the body scattered in fractions. Laying on the feather, being guided by the ocean. Watch the sun reflection in the water, it's glowing. The atmosphere is tropic, get a topic, keep you focused. I'm the one, and you notice, not afraid for what was spoken. Stay beyond the ratio, biological antidote. Bobbing hit the evil goat, the Lord is our only hope. Nuclear suspicion, United Nations restriction, access to condition. World demolition. They finna blow this motherfucker up. They finna blow this motherfucker up. For real, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, niggas? China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, niggas. China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, nigga? The heart of the golden lion. Walk the universe, form the alliance, combine and capture the whole earth. Focus, thoughts chosen. Watch my mind work anonymous, one motion. Seek the signs first, spiritual assassin. Worldwide matters, political. Great dragon will order that will establish a cosmetic balance. Pure dark madness, souls that absorb evil. Lost planet, I survived the fatality, brought back to reality. The wages I sin, I death, no blasphemy. See the world from the tower. The Lord asking me, open up the ocean. I'm floating, low capacity, age of extinction. Power telekinesis, the energy is completed. Extravagance what I'm reaching. 7 stars, 7 people, 7 angels. 7 stars, 7 people, 7 angels. They finna blow this motherfucker up. They finna blow this motherfucker up. For real, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, niggas? China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, niggas. China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, niggas? Lucifer, hold the secret or the grand architect, the compass intersect with a square. Wicked dialect, 2,000 years of evil. What did you expect? Extraterrestrial shape shifting in the cybernet. Agent Fox Mulder, lights and strange odors. Feel the venom from the crow, but feel it frozen from the jokers. 3rd degree master mason, they honor Satan, international obligation. With altercations, this is Prince of Jerusalem, commander at a temple. Contour with the Red Cross, collecting royal crystals. Submarines busting torpedoes, peers with missiles. Deadly drones hovering where our weapons hit you. My telepathic spirits that move planets, hypnosis from black magic. Keep the majority sidetracked. The beast in the Middle East is moving rapid. Chemical artillery release to kill the masses. They finna blow this motherfucker up. They finna blow this motherfucker up. For real, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, niggas? China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. This ain't no game, niggas. China, Russia, North Korea, they finna blow this motherfucker up. You think they playing, niggas?
You gotta keep going up. That's why closing that gap gotta be them catching up to you. And if they don't catch up, you gotta leave them behind. Because you get to the point now where you gotta start cutting out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you can't look back when you cut them out. Because if they meant to be there, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there.
There have been a lot of setbacks. There has been a lot of betrayals. There have been lies told. There has been pain inflicted. There's been times you've been handcuffed. There's been times you've been tried. There's been times you've been in situations where you were locked up and you couldn't get out. In spite of all of that, what God spoke to you shall surely come.
Hey, if you with the squad, you gotta play a position. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. And if you from the mud, then I know you get it. Stay away from snakes and niggas moving different. If you with the squad, you gotta play a position. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. If you from the mud, then I know you get it. We stay away from snakes and niggas who moving different.
I'm coming around with squad and I promise to complete the mission. By Ryan up to God, ain't no chasing and acting different. Family over everything and Jordan after Reigns. Had the BMW and now I want the reins. Had to level up on niggas, get my paper up. We met up in the huddle, run and play a nigga hut. Ain't no fucking with that legendary touch. Nigga recognize the gang or we gon' touch. Yeah, pay a visit if we have to make cash. I'm sick of these niggas in these punk ass busters. Loyalty is earned, some bridges you can't burn. What goes around comes around, eventually you gon' learn. I never can relate, no fakes and no snakes. Pull up to the lake and drop up the dead weight. You should've known when you throwing stones at the dome you gone. I handle bidding like a Corleone when it's on.
Squad, you gotta play it. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. And if you from the mud, then I know you get it. Stay away from snakes and niggas moving different. If you with the squad, you gotta play a position. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. If you from the mud, then I know you get it. We stay away from snakes and niggas who moving different. Niggas who moving different. I don't kid around. I'm the man now. They wanted a handout because I stand out. I had to cool off. These niggas fanned out. Overreacting the quickest way to the can now. I'm just focused on the fam now. Cause life just ain't the same. I always had control till these niggas changed the game. So now I move like HOV and stay in my lane. And we just not the same. You might be a wolf, but we got different fangs. I'm from a different cave, and I will never change, even after the grave. Said I will never change, even after the grave. Yes, even after the grave. With the squad, you gotta play a position. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. And if you from the mud, then I know you get it. Stay away from snakes and niggas moving different. If you with the squad, you gotta play a position. Stay on your P's and Q's, accomplishing every mission. If you from the mud, then I know you get it. We stay away from snakes and niggas who moving different. Niggas who moving different.
Thank you for tuning in live with OG Stick Hyde on Real Riders Only Radio.